Both championship fights are separated by single-digit numbers. This is still anyone's crown as we get ready for the Porsche Sprint Challenge Cayman Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. Joey, what are our drivers up against for round 9?
Well, we'll go ahead and take a look at the VIR track map because they are on pace lap number 2. You see it's a beautiful day here, Saturday afternoon for some racing, and we are located right on the Virginia-North Carolina border. A 3.27-mile, 17-turn facility that has a ton of elevation, even a sector called roller coaster. Turn number 1, turn number 12, turn number 14. Those are probably our biggest passing zones. My favorite is that run up to turn number 10 through the uphill S's and watching the cars just accelerate through their speed. But the roller coaster through Hogpen can decide a race win.
It absolutely can. And for our starting grid, we'll see Ford Koch next to Anicheki. We'll see if he can come away with another one-off victory this weekend as Keith Grant starts from third, and then it's our Masters pole sitter, Greg Checki. Spencer Proper is on the inside of the next row with Bill Pelichewski to his outside. On the next row, it's going to be Todd Rutura starting in 7th with Tom Rogers starting in 8th. After that, top 10, Joey's going to be rounded out by Cody Knight and Dominique Lecault.
Yeah, and then over in 11th is going to be Rami Farid. Starting in 12th next to him is going to be the other Knight, Chad Knight, there in 12th. And 13th, his first trip to VIR, Greg Herback. Next to him in 14th is going to be Rob Trollinger. And then one of my favorite people to round out our 15-car field, Jim Johnson in the 88.
Johnson, another one running a partial schedule. For Anicheki, while she, of course, isn't fighting against Ford Koch for the championship, she wants to get as many points as she can because she's lost the points lead to Keith Grant as of last round. You see the onboard with Greg Herback there on the left-hand side of your screen as well. But we're coming up to the start here pretty shortly. Very fast track. Do you think this track position is going to be very important here, or do you think passes can be made, Joey?
Passes can be made. However, things can get spread out quickly at VIR, meaning if you have a gap going through the snake, the lower S's for the first time, well, you're going to be on the accelerator running away from everybody by the time you get to the uphill S's. So track position always going to be important, and I think that the question that you're asking really, Joe, is going to be settled. Can it happen on lap 1? If it doesn't happen on lap number 1, you're really going to have to put in some work and use that toe and slipstream.
All right. So for Anicheki, maybe she needs to be aggressive on this start. We'll see what happens as Ford is going to lead them to the green flag. First corner is horseshoe, heavy braking zone. Definitely opportunities to try and make an overtake. And let's not forget about Greg Checki, also in a title fight, as he and Tom Rogers are trying to sort that one out. Green flag is out as we start to head down to turn 1. And as they pick up speed, it does look like it is a very good jump by Ford Koch. Anna slots in behind her rival Keith Grant, trying to actually cover off from her dad, making a move around the outside as we have cars turned around at the first corner, but it looks like everybody gets moving.
I think that might have been Todd Rotura pointing the wrong direction, and you said everybody got rolling again, so a little bit of a hiccup there in turn number 1, but Ford Koch out to a nice, healthy lead, and you are right. Keith Grant was able to pass Greg Checki going down into turn number 1. That's that orange car slotted into what is now 3rd position.
Like I said, Keith and Anna are very, very close on points. It is 4 points between them at the start of today. We hop on board with Greg Checki, our leader in the Masters, as he follows behind Keith Grant. This is another one of those single file parts we've been talking about. It is hard to go too wide through the S's.
And I mean, look at the speeds, 120 miles an hour or faster through that section of the racetrack before they had to bleed a little bit in turn number 10 and then really jump on the brakes here for what is turn number 12. The oak tree is no longer there, and Greg Checki dealing with a lot of snap oversteer, just trying to get everything nice and calm, cool and collected underneath him as we still are on our first lap.
We're seeing from race control incident involving car 3 under review, so I assume that is for that first lap incident. That's Chad Knight. Also see that Todd Rutura has fallen to the back of the field, so he may have been involved in that as well. They'll crest over into the roller coaster coming downhill. Bill Pelichewski putting a lot of pressure on Spencer Proper. It'll all depend on his exit on the hog pen.
See about the run through that section that you were just mentioning. You really have to drive the car hard into that compression in order to have the front end grip up and really provide you the launch out onto this arcing front straightaway. Pelichewski and Proper with terrific exits. Pelichewski firmly in the slipstream. Does he look down to the inside? He presents the car. He's going for the apex. Spencer sees him, leaves the door open, and Pelichewski takes the spot.
Colored me surprised. I thought he was going to be too far back to try anything, but he manages to make it clean. Proper facilitating that pass, but he's going to stick with him as they come around NASCAR bend and into left hook. You can see we haven't really spread out all that much in the first lap. We are still very nose to tail from much of the field.
It is absolutely fantastic to see. I think that our biggest gap is actually between first and second place, and then from Anichecki all the way down, call it considered. Dominique Lecoq back there in 8th place. Got a nice 6-car breakaway up at the front.
When I talked to Ford Koch there, our leader before the race, he felt very confident about a win for this one, and he seemed to like his chances. It's certainly looking good in the early stages. We continue to watch Bill Pelichewski, who's now on the back of Greg Checki. So not only did he make that overtake, but obviously continuing to push forward.
And since you had mentioned Ford, I mean, that last lap time of 57.3, that was a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack as we get the battle for 4th right now. We're going to see how hard Bill Pelichewski goes up there and attacks Greg Checki, because that's going to be our Masters class lead.
It absolutely is. And, you know, I keep talking about Greg Checki and Tom Rogers being in the fight. Well, it's not that far back. It's only 10 points behind Greg Checki that Bill Pelichewski sits. So he could definitely use this. Car 3 being given a stop plus 60 for incident responsibility.
That's a tough one, and that was the incident down in turn number 1 to kick off our green flag action. So evidently Cody Knight was the party that was found guilty at the end of that one.
Yep, didn't quite get a good look on that one initially. Just saw cars suddenly getting turned. So we'll see if we can get a better one maybe later on to analyze what happened. And Bill Pelichewski much tighter to the apex of NASCAR Bend in comparison to Greg Checki. Is that going to give him a chance maybe later here? They'll go up towards the Snake, which is another single file portion. But a good run could set you up to try and pass before the climbing S's. Not going to happen this time, as that Pink Nerds car is going to stay just behind.
See if there's any difference in lines or driving styles going up through here. Both really taking a lot of the grass, and those first couple of apexes there in the S's. Let's see about the same thing maybe in turn number 10. They stay off of the apex curb there in South Bend, and you see the slight downhill plunge into the compression of what is turn number 11 and 12 here at VIR, and then that corner right there, turn 12, so crucial for your top speed, your run all the way down this back straightaway. And Joe, I think that Pelichewski might have got out of that corner a little bit better.
I think he's got a good shot. Let's see what he tries. Remember, he was so good on the brakes down into turn 1. Can he do the same? This is about where they're going to get on the binders as you see the brake lights light up. But no, he will be fended off as Greg Checki will remain our Masters leader. It's looking like he's going to have a real task on his hands to hold him back, because it is a fast 62 behind him.
No doubt about it. And Pelichewski seems to be pretty much all collected and straightforward here today on a mission, trying to get to the front of that Masters class field right now. He's already made a couple passes in order to get to the back bumper of Greg Checki. Nothing has changed out front for folks wondering. Ford Koch still leading by about a second and a half over Anichecki.
No attempt this time down to the horseshoe from Bill Pelichewski. Follows him out of the corner as we check in behind them as well. Tom Rogers is still on the podium. That's Dominique Lecoq, who's having a very good race, sitting in 4th behind him. And that's going to be important for Tom because he will not want to give up more positions. He's already losing points to Greg as they stand.
And Dominique's last lap time of 57.7, that's 0.2 faster than Tom Rogers in front of him. That's 0.2 faster than Spencer Proper, the next car in front. So maybe Lecoq has a little bit of speed early on in this race, and he's also looking to try to climb up onto that Masters class podium.
As they climb up through the S's, we check the top of the hill with our two Masters leaders. He has been keeping him honest, has Pelichowski. Really impressed with the way he's been running this race. He has taken a single victory so far this season, second round at Barber. Otherwise, hasn't really been troubling the wins despite consistent podiums. So maybe just feeling a bit of spade of speed for today's race, as I can report that Chad Knight has served his penalty and is heading back out onto the track. Ooh, that's looking very tidy down through the roller coaster from Pelichowski.
I feel like we've really seen Bill have the acceleration advantage, and it could just be from exiting turn number 12, just getting through that apex a little bit better. But on the other side of the racetrack, it seems like Greg Checky has a little bit of advantage, especially going through that turn 3, 4, 5 complex, accelerating out onto the S's. The hog pen area kind of seems like a wash, so it's up to Bill if he can get into that slipstream, close it in that little bit more on Greg Checky, but you see Greg just that little bit too far out in front for that Nerds car to really make a lunge into the brake zone.
And for Greg, he also has that track position, so if he feels like that 62 is getting too close, he can cover the inside. Once again, though, not quite as down to the apex as that pink number 62, at least down through NASCAR Bend. Lost him some time, but he seems to gain it here as the car wiggles a little bit. Greg is pushing off the corners.
It's exactly what Pelichowski wants to see. I was just mentioning that at this area of the racetrack, I firmly thought that Checky was definitely the better of the two cars, at least the previous couple of laps, and now Pelichowski all over the back in the section that I thought he wasn't maybe quite as strong as. This is playing out in favor of the 62 as long as he can get that same run through turn number 12 that we've seen the last couple of laps.
These angles really give you an idea of how much elevation change there is as they plunged off of South Bend, and then it climbs all the way back up here. I thought I saw a little bobble out of Bill coming off the turn there.
And it could have just been at apex, right? Maybe unsettling the car a little bit, because you're right, Greg Checky is firmly at, call it, stiff arm distance, not allowing that pink 62 to really have any sort of clear air, clear vision up to that brake marker, and takes the corner away. I say that, and Pelichowski obviously very aggressive and confident on the brake pedal.
Yeah, I mean, the way he closes in every time they come up to roller coaster impresses me. Almost looked like it was awful shallow from the 72 coming into hog pen, but he manages it coming off the corner as he's still a little too far ahead. Now, on the left-hand side, we've been following with Anna Checky. While she is not leading this race, the good news is she's still ahead of her title rival, Keith Grant, and it's by 5 seconds already.
Doing a terrific job gapping it out. Like you said, over the championship rival, that's the most important part in terms of those points that are accumulated throughout the entirety of the season. So she is doing exactly what she needs to do. If anything, Joe, Greg Checky with a huge slide. Can he save it? He's got a handful of counter steer, and somehow he keeps it pointed straight. Pelichowski and Proper are able to get by, but that is something that we have seen out of Greg Checky. If the car gets extremely sideways, he somehow reels it back in.
My goodness, take that Cayman off to the dirt short track, because he was just completely sideways all the way around the outside and still brought it back in. Unfortunately, it loses him some positions, and Bill Pelichowski now up at the top. It looks like Rogers is still behind Checky, so that's the good news for Greg.
The big part about all of that, though, is the little hiccups and the fighting throughout is that, look at this is a new group of racing, right? Pelichowski was able to get by, and I'm sorry, Joe, was that somebody off there at turn number 12? Yes, that's Dominique Lecoq.
Yeah, spun coming up through the oak tree, thankfully able to bring it back on very quickly, but a lot of time lost. Seeing the 59, that's Todd Rutura, has brought the car behind the wall. Don't have any information, unfortunately, as to why yet. An unfortunate mistake from Leco, because like I was saying, having a very good night up to that moment.
I think he was actually, call it the fastest in the group. Now, it wasn't tremendously faster, but a tenth, maybe 2/10 here and there. So you're right, he was definitely, call it the end of the train that was closing, compressing that accordion effect. Is now this 5 cars, maybe 6 cars still is Pelichowski, Proper, Checky, Rogers, Knight, and then off the back is Leco after the little bit of a mistake.
A Dominique spin means that Chad Knight is indeed now up to 4th. And I noticed that he's about a second and a half behind Tom Rogers. So he's got a good shot at getting another podium to his name. I believe up to this point he's only collected 1 so far. So this is going to be an important one if he can continue this forward progress and maybe hope for a little bit more luck like he experienced before. So we see Cody Knight as well continuing to race on. Unfortunately, with his issues earlier on, found himself with a bit of a hole to dig himself out of. In fact, I think he is a lap behind. Yes, he is.
And that doesn't surprise me too much, just kind of given how everything worked out, especially at the beginning. You see maybe a little bit of the car going off. Was that a flash of the lights that I saw briefly? I think it just might have been our screen. And something that I had maybe saw that wasn't actually happening.
Yeah, I see what you were talking about. But, yeah, he was just pulling off to the side. He's not trying to race anybody. He's just going to continue and hope that maybe something swings his way. This is the 23 in the meantime. Ford Koch continuing to lead lap after lap from the pole position. It's now up to about 3 seconds. Again, not taking massive chunks in this one, but still putting himself well out of any threat from behind from Anna.
Fastest lap so far is a 55.4. However, they have settled into more of a low 56 race pace. The last lap out of this car right here, 56.0. Anna was a 56.6. Keith was a 57.3. And this lap from Ford was actually just a little bit faster than his previous. So I do feel like he has kind of settled into his rhythm.
And this is not the first time that Ford has raced here. He's done actually other single-make series at this track. Unfortunately for him, from what I understand, last time out he was involved in a little bit of an incident at one point. So he kind of has a bone to pick with this track, wants to try and bring home some good memories, and so far he's well on his way to doing so.
Just got to keep it consistent out there, and that is a whole lot easier said than done most of the time. When you are operating inside the cockpit of a race car, there is a whole lot being thrown at you. Not just the apexes, not just the brake markers, but think about the heat that these drivers are dealing with. It is, call it mid-80s out here at VIR. It's actually been a little bit since I've checked on the weather. It's showing about 83, 84 degrees ambient temperature. And so inside of these race cars, the drivers have some, call it systems to help out with that heat. They could be running a cool shirt system to help cool them down. However, if there are no driver aids inside that car, the cockpit well above 100 degrees.
Here we see a little bit of a comparison between Ford and Anna on the most recent lap. Only a tenth apart on the first sector. That's a good sign. Seems to be that second sector where maybe that's where Ford is making up some of the gap. Let's see what the difference is in Sector 3.
So a 56.1 out of Ford, and then Anna's going to be crossing the line momentarily at 56.6. So, Joe, I think you're right that maybe sector number 1, she's pretty much been able to match this number 23. But once you get up into the S's and maybe down through that roller coaster section, the number 23 just maybe a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, you can see that third sector, again, only a tenth of a second apart. So very obvious signs on where Ford is currently stronger than his, well, at least this race rival. And like I mentioned earlier, Anna still is going to be finishing ahead of Keith Grant. The difference between P2 and P3, about 6 points. So for her, that will actually put her up into the championship lead if it stays where it is.
Once again, pretty much identical in terms of the time difference in sector number 1 between our two leaders out there. And then this area of the racetrack was really where we saw Ford Koch be able to stretch the legs just that little bit more. His best sector 2 times a 42.6. I expect it to be maybe 42.8, 42.9. Probably give up a few tenths in sector 1, a few tenths in sector 2. There's a 43.0, so maybe just falling off a little bit more. But you have, call it 2 tenths here, 4 tenths there, 3 tenths there, and that adds up to kind of your race pace of 0.6, 0.8 to off of your fastest lap.
So a little bit better for Anna on that front, as it was only 2 tenths in that second sector this time. But that black on black number 23 certainly is striking as we watch it come past us on the main straight once more. And the gap as they cross, 56.3 for Ford, Anna 56.9, so there's another 6 tenths between them adding up. It's now over 4 seconds.
Just those low 56s is kind of what seems to be the front of the pack pace. And now we hop on board with Anna Czecki, and you can see that gap is just maybe a little bit more than what she wants. You really can't see that number 23 too much up off in the distance, and it can be frustrating as a racing car driver because you have those relative points at every single lap on the racetrack that you see that car in front, and if it's just a little bit further out in front, you're like, where is the speed coming from? I need to find it.
I'm sure the temptation is there to want to overdrive the car, but need to run within your limits. And so far, so good for Anna. I mean, we keep talking about her losing time to Ford, but it is twice that between her and Keith Grant, which to me is a very good sign because Keith is incredibly fast. I mean, he looked almost unstoppable for parts of COTA last time, so she has rebounded extremely well here.
I feel like Keith Grant is always one of our faster drivers, especially here in the Cayman class, and I do feel like some of the tracks he really excels at. He's extremely fast at some of the tracks, and I think when you look at Anna's performance, just a little bit more all-around, kind of well-rounded, she's always going to be at the front as well, but it seems like even on some of her worst days, she's still up there in the top 2, top 3.
For sure. So we come back to Bill Pelichewski. Those gaps are much closer. Tom Rogers is not that far ahead as we watch the leader of this Masters class. Only about, it's 1.1 seconds. It's difference between Proper and Czecki, I just realized.
Yes.
So Bill's actually pulled himself far away from all of his rivals now.
Yeah, ever since that slide from Greg there in turn number 3, it gave clean air to this car that we're riding on board with, and Bill has pretty much said thank you very much. And this is exactly what you want as a racing car driver, because guess what? It's just like turning practice laps at this point, right? Focus on your brake markers here in turn number 1. Make sure you don't overdrive the car. Make sure you roll through the apex of turns 1 and 2 nicely here. So for Bill Pelichewski, it has worked out quite nicely. Unfortunately for Greg Czecki, he is trying to recover. Now, the good part about that slide, he did lose 2 positions, but only one of them was actually in class. And there's another moment there in turn number 3 where he had a huge hand to counter steer. And my mind wanders back to your comment from a handful of laps ago, Joe, that you noticed how much narrower Greg Czecki was in turn number 3, especially compared to Bill Pelichewski. And if you hit that apex curb, it can certainly upset the platform of the car.
This is Keith Grant now, our 3rd place in the Pro-Ams. And somebody's had a big off, actually, and that is all the way to the barriers, maybe? Or did they keep going?
I think they kept going.
Wow, okay, yeah, because I didn't see a car. Initially, it looked like all that dirt that we were going to see somebody stuck into the tires. Thankfully, we stayed green. I'll check my race control messages if anybody's gone off there.
Well, and it's actually Cody Knight that's the car in front of Keith, because remember, he came out of pit lane and Anna had passed the number 3 on the racetrack and put him a lap down. So this is actually the car in between Keith and Anna.
Okay, so maybe it was him. Hope that wasn't Hannah that had that big off there. I guess the lap times will tell the tale on that front.
Yeah, it's not Anna. She's still maintaining that pace of 57.7, which is a little bit slower than what she has been doing, but you compare it to our leader at a 57.0, and that's still relevant in terms of that pace.
And Cody's was a 59.3, so yeah, I suspect he is our culprit that had a little bit of an off there, but thankfully it was only for a brief moment. While we were watching Bill Pelichewski, Greg Checki, and Tom Rogers, interesting note on them. Our podium sitters are about to continue what is currently a tie on podiums so far this season. 5 for each of them. And yet they're all top 3 right now.
Sounds like they're going to have enough to play some chess at the end of the season. Just have to get a big chessboard.
Exactly. As we check in now with, I think that is... Anna catching up.
This is Spencer over Greg.
Yes, you're right.
Yes, and this is a little bit of an interesting one because Spencer's in Pro-Am, right? And Greg is in the Masters class. So, yes, it's a position on the racetrack, but it's not necessarily a championship points-paying position. And Bill Pelichewski is well down the road. I think more what is on Greg Checki's mind is that if he is able to get around Spencer proper, he doesn't have to worry about Tom Rogers, the car in the rearview mirror.
Well, not only that, I kind of wonder if Greg might be held up slightly as well, because I'm looking at the lap times. Pelichewski with the 57 last time versus a 59 from Greg Checki. So if he can maybe get by proper, we could see him unleashed a little bit.
I also just wonder about the car and the life of everything underneath him after we've seen him being so happy with the tail end of that car, right? Huge, massive slide through turn number 3. That's what cost him a couple positions. And then when we were riding on board, had some more loose oversteer moments. So you got to wonder, those rear tires, the Yokohamas, they are fantastic in terms of grip from the start of the green flag all the way to the checkered flag. However, as is the case with all tires, the nicer you treat them, the nicer they treat you back.
There's something to be said about being kind to your equipment, even if they're short races such as the Sprint Challenge. That those 35 minutes plus a lap have come down to now 11 minutes plus a lap to go. So we're well into the final third of today's race. Tom Rogers looking more and more like he's going to be a threat. So I think you're right. I think if Greg can, he needs to place Spencer between himself and Tom.
This is an excellent run from Tom Rogers. I know that he kind of started in the middle of the pack and kind of has hung out in, call it 7th overall, but he has been making ground on this pair, and you can even see it from that overhead shot in between 3 and 4, closing the gap to Checki.
Tom was able to go back-to-back at Sonoma, taking both of the wins, but missed out on victory twice at COTA. Only got a second place in the first one, and then he wound up in 7th in the second race, which is honestly probably the biggest hit he's had in a while on his championship hunt. As we watch Greg get very close here, he's looking like he could make something happen if he gets a good exit out of Oak Tree. Watch for the throttle as both of them try to mash it down to the floor.
Certainly seemed like the first car in line, Spencer was able to roll more speed in between 11 and 12, and Checki, the second car in line. I know that they're painted nearly identical, and they are both CHR cars here this weekend. Spencer proper with Charlie Hayes Racing, having a fantastic outing right now, but I think that Greg maybe didn't get the power down as he wanted to coming up out of 12. Saw the car bouncing around on those curbs quite a bit.
Interesting. It did look a little wide there from the 30 coming through roller coaster. That's given some more life to the 72 as he gets ever closer behind the rear bumper. Now he needs it out of Hogpen, and it does look quite strong. They'll start to pick up speed. This is the second longest straight of the track down towards Horseshoe. That is Cody Knight, who is in pit lane. Might be just parking at 4 now as they come to the braking zone, though. Oh, that's wide from Spencer proper. And now it looks like Greg Checki has that buffer he wanted, or does he? Almost an opportunity for Rogers. He's trying to get his nose in there.
See a little bit of a message from race control. That was Jim Johnson spinning at turn number 16, maybe a lap or two back and continuing. But you're right. little bit of an oopsie-daisy down there at turn number 1 for Spencer Proper. Opened the door for Greg Checky. So just as easy as Spencer was able to get by the 72, well, guess what? It was an Uno Reverso card.
I think Spencer doesn't need to fret too much, other than maybe a bit of a blow to his ego. He has none of the other Pro-Ams anywhere near behind him. Knight and Rutura essentially out of the running. All Proper has to do is try to bring this home, and he's got a handy 4th place points to his name. Question is, does he want to make life easy or hard for Greg Checky by holding up Tom Rogers here?
Yeah, and how urgent is Tom to get around, right? Because that could be the other kind of card on the table, is that Tom Rogers runs out wide. He did the right thing there. He got 2 wheels in the dirt on exit, and instead of trying to yank the steering wheel back out onto the racetrack, he kept it pointed straight and accelerated down the straightaway, then slowly brought the car back. Just have to worry about the rough ride through the dirt.
Our Porsche reps need to go to the drivers and remind them these are not the Porsche tractors that they are in right now, as we've had a lot of lawn mowing in this Cayman race. Thankfully, nobody finding the wall yet, but it's been an exciting one for a few drivers, as Ford Koch, how much is this gap? Now up to about 6.5 seconds.
I know you said the tractors, but I think Dakar was going not too long ago.
True.
Yep. No, but Ford doing a terrific job. Under 8 minutes, actually coming up to 7 minutes now, plus 1 lap. Firmly in control out front. Hasn't been doing anything to change the driving style, to change the racing lines at all. He has just stayed right smack to it, and I might stop talking about him because that was almost a commentator's curse. Completely blew the apex at turn number 10, but thankfully kept it on the racetrack.
And the other thing to keep in mind about this car is this is his dad's car. Kurt Koch usually drives the 23. When we see Ford show up, it is because his dad is unable to compete. And he even said to me, Ford, that he wished his dad would take some weekends off more often.
Anytime that you can get into a race car is going to be a very, very fun experience, and I think Ford has figured that out through the various series that he races in here in North America, and then coming over to Sprint Challenge with these Cayman GT4s, and really having a GT4 platform uncorked. I think he really enjoys himself out here.
Come around to start yet another lap, 6 minutes plus 1 to go. So we're going to be seeing probably in the realm of about 4 laps left in this race. It's now over 7 seconds between himself and Anna, but Anna has absolutely obliterated Keith Grant today. It is nearly 12 seconds currently.
And I do see an outlier. Anna's must have had a little bit of a lap time variation, as we see car 3, another penalty. Wow. That's going to be speeding in pit lane. That plus 7 miles an hour usually is what that means. So the day has turned from bad to worse for the number 3 car out there. But to my point about Anna, that last lap time was not very reminiscent of Anna Checky, a 59.3, which is about 2 seconds off of what she typically has been turning.
Cody's going to want that mind wipe from the Men in Black after today's race. It's not been a fun one for him. I
believe it's called a neuralizer.
Neuralizer, thank you. All right. Men in Black lore from Joey Atterbury, ladies and gentlemen, as we watch our leader come around. But yeah, for Cody, I feel like today's a write-off. Completely focus on tomorrow and try to make the best of it and turn things around.
Sometimes that's what you have to do. You got to literally throw the experience out the window and say, the sun will come up tomorrow, it'll be a new day, and you can put the new foot forward.
Back once again up into the crest of the roller coaster. One thing I do love from these angles as well is you can see just how tucked away into the woods this whole track is, with all the foliage surrounding the circuit. It really is kind of a hidden gem.
It is, and with that, you get all the wonderful bugs in summertime as well. If you've ever been to VIR, especially during the evening time, definitely know all about those creepy critters.
Yeah, put on your bug spray, fans out there. Make sure, as well as your sunscreen, because it's been quite sunny today. Anna Checki, who we ride on board second in the Pro-Ams, puts down another lap. This one looks a little bit more representative, in a 58.4. Bad news is that's about 1.1 seconds off the last lap of Ford Koch, who seems to actually be picking up pace, I think.
And you're right. It kind of hovered up to a high 57. Now he's brought it back down to a low 57. Keith Grant is closing in the gap to Anna. However, it's just not near enough time, right? We only have 3 minutes plus a lap, and Anna has done such an amazing job throughout the entirety of this race to build that 10-plus second gap. I don't think that Keith, a little bit faster right now, has any real chance of catching Anna.
Unfortunately not, which is a shame for Keith because he went back-to-back on wins, and his first win on the season. Whoa, as we have an off from Chad Knight. The 32 faces backwards coming out of NASCAR Bend and looks like he's going to be able to circulate back onto the track after having to wait a moment for cars to go by and get a clear spot, but another car off at turn 3.
That was that same area of the racetrack where we saw Greg Checki have that huge slide that he was able to recover from. The car is definitely dancing on the limit of grip out there. And Joe, check this out. How about the return for Dominique Lecoq? Isn't that him right on the back of Tom Rogers, I believe? Or is that Tom right on the back of Spencer Proper?
That's Tom, but to your point, Lecoq is back in fourth now, and he's only
there. He is
7 seconds. Yeah,
you saw him just at the end of the frame there, coming out onto the back straightaway. So a terrific rebound.
Yeah, I was just noticing his name on the timing sheets when you were catching glimpse of him on the screen. So a great rebound. And I want to give a special shout to Greg Herback, who's going to look like he might have a top 5 here for his very first visit to VIR.
It is not an easy track to come here, learn the track in terms of the speed, and then be able to race on it. You're right, a tremendous accomplishment there for Greg Herback. Just got to round it out here for the next couple of minutes as Spencer Proper starting to line up Greg Checki. This battle is far from over.
Well, we thought that maybe Greg was the quicker one. We got a yellow flag flying somewhere. And that's turns 15 to 17, so that's at the end of the lap. Someone's had a problem down through Roller Coaster in the Hog Pen.
I'm not sure. I see maybe the 31 is... Oh, no! It is Dominique Lecoq! And this is at the end of the back straightaway. Now, it is only a local yellow flag, but I have a feeling the driver climbing out of the car might change that. Now we are under full course yellow.
Well, glad to see that he's out under his own power. He looks pretty frustrated, though. Like we said, it was looking like such a good run. Commentator's curse, unfortunately, once again, and a shake of the head from the Canadian, knowing that he's given away a good day's results.
You see him already walking around the car with the helmet off and everything, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. We are under full course yellow situation, thankfully.
23 is going to come around and take the white flag this time by, so it'll be a bit of a moot point on that front. Looks to me like somehow the car slipped loose towards the inside of turn 16 there, from what I can tell, and has found its way to the tire barrier.
Well, this is on driver's left, right?
Yes.
So this has gone by what is turn number 14, 15 up there. And this is pretty typical of a overshoot into the brake zone. Now, we don't know if it was off driver's left, if it was off driver's right. All we know is that the car was able to reach the tires after that, call it turn 14 brake zone.
Slowing down, being picked up by the safety car. Ford Koch is not going to have the massive gap to show how dominant of a run that he had today, but he's still going to be able to collect those points for the win. And that, unfortunately for Lecoq, shuffles him back to the end of the Masters field, as that will promote Herback up to fourth and Remy Farid up to a top 5. And Chad Knight, after his little oopsie in turn 3, makes his way back to 6th.
So it looks like we are going to be ending under this full course yellow flag here. And Joe, I'm with you. After you were saying, 16 down into 17, I'm looking at the track map and kind of where this car is stationary. It's not always the best to look at the marching ants because it's not necessarily relative of exactly where the car is placed. But you're right. It's in between 16 and 17, which is a little bit further down the hill than what I had thought.
Car may have broken loose, on that little left kink that takes you into Hogpen. But this is all speculation.
Yes, all speculation.
We don't know for sure. Whatever the case, we just know that the car is stopped in the tires on the left-hand side of the track, and it definitely made some serious contact from the steam that we could see coming out from under the hood. It is just half a lap to go for Ford Koch to return to his winning ways, and even more impressively, while it hasn't been a complete schedule, this will mean that he'll be 3 for 3 on wins so far.
Pretty good momentum, and even with the full course yellow, I think that he is going to be very, very happy with this one, right? You never want to end or win under a yellow flag situation. However, he was able to prove that he did have the fastest car. He did have the fastest pace out of anybody, and it wasn't just in qualifying. It wasn't just at the beginning of the race or the middle. It was throughout the entirety of the race. Grew that gap, and even though we have this full course yellow, still will be collecting the win.
Greg Checky won't be taking victory points over Tom Rogers, but still gets 6 points over him and will not be leading this championship, but boy, will it be tightening up. As for Anna Checky, if my math is right, she is going to be leading by 2 points after this race. It is so tight between her and Keith Grant. Every race will matter, and it looks like they may have hit Dominic may have hit the tires hard enough that they're having to replace them.
This will give us a good idea of where the car is. It was through the hog pen section. Yep. And so oftentimes you're trying to take that left side curb as aggressively as you possibly can, and from where the car is placed in the tires, I can only imagine that's where it went wrong.
Very much so. This takes us to the end of the race, and for Ford Koch, he is still running a perfect run here in 2026 for the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman Series. He'll be able to collect his third checkered flag of the season here at Virginia International Raceway. And behind him, Bill Pelichewski going to manage to bring himself to the top spot once again and coming back into the hunt of this close Masters title fight.
Well, ending under yellow flag, and Joe, I will let you get up on out of here. I know that you've got some podium celebrations to go and interview some of our winners as we get to our official class results here after race number 1 of the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America Cayman Series here at Virginia International Raceway. It's been a fantastic weekend for racing, and Ford Koch was the one who was able to claim the Pro-Am win. Also, the fastest lap time of the race does go to that number 23 as well. Anna Checky going to be on the podium in second, and Keith Grant, after making that wonderful move in turn number 1, lap number 1, is going to finish third overall, and of course on that podium as well. Spencer Proper finishing in fourth. Cody Knight a little bit further back after we saw those penalties, going to finish in fifth, and Todd Ratura going to look forward to race number 2 after having that incident in turn number 1. Over to the Cayman Masters class, Bill Pelichewski, after he got by Greg Checky, was able to run away with it. The Nerds machine claiming victory here at Virginia. Greg Checky with a nice rebound is going to finish in second place. Tom Rogers with a good podium finish back here in third. How about this one? Greg Herback, first time here at the racetrack, going to finish fourth in class. Rami Farid with a terrific bounce back after a little bit of an incident yesterday, going to finish with the top 5. Chad Knight in 6th. Jim Johnson going to finish in 7th in the 88. Rob Trollinger back here in 8th. And then Dominique Lecoq, we saw what happened to him late in the race, going to finish in 9th, a few laps down, but had a lot of speed throughout race number 1. And folks, don't go anywhere because we're going to be back with Joe Peak down at the podiums with our winner interviews.
Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
When we began racing, we started with a question. Can a dream become a legacy? Across endless nights, relentless rain, competition that never slows. Through every failure, every win, every single race, we've asked ourselves, can a dream become a legacy? And 75 years later, the answer is clear. Because we weren't built for racing, we were born for it.
Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway for Porsche Sprint Challenge North America coverage of the Cayman GT4 race. We just wrapped up race number 1, and Joe Peak is down with our overall winner, Ford Koch.
Thanks, Joey. We've got our winner in the Pro-Ams here. Ford, congratulations. It looked like steady running up there. Did it feel like steady running?
Yeah, I knew going into it that I wanted to maintain my pace and just maintain a good pace out front. So I just focused on really keeping the rear tires under me and just maintaining the race and not burning down what I have. And Kelly Moss gave me a great car again today with the Yokohamas. It was amazing.
You are 3 for 3 so far, so a perfect score. Can you make it 4 for 4 tomorrow?
We're hoping so. I think we can build on this tomorrow, maybe improve a little bit with the car and see where we end up.
Again, congratulations. It was an impressive run. Back to you, Joey.
It was a fantastic race to watch that number 23 lead from the green flag throughout the entirety of the race. And looks like we're going to be going back down to Joe Peak here momentarily. He is currently finding Bill Pelichewski, the winner in the Masters class.
All right, we've got Bill Pelichewski here. Bill, you seem like you were charging very hard early in the race. Did you know you had that kind of pace that you could push up to the front so quick?
Yeah, I kind of figured. I had a really good weekend. The car was really set up well by Kelly Moss, and Coach Andrew Davis was phenomenal. So we had a good pace. Obviously, Greg got pole in my class, and it was fun to race with him. And then a little slight error by him, but it allowed me to kind of get by. And it was a great race between Greg and myself, and it was really wonderful. So it was a fun race, actually. And managing the pace after that was kind of part of the exercise as well, keeping pace.
We saw a lot of mistakes from drivers out there. Is it hard to keep those errors like we saw from Greg happening?
It is difficult because the track evolves, the car evolves. So people think it's the same track. It's not, or it's the same car. So you have to adapt to it. And that's the beauty of the sport. It's actually pretty a mental sport because you have to change how you drive the car in different conditions, and the conditions change over time. So it's wonderful. Yeah, it was fun.
Fantastic drive today. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Great series.
With that, we're going to close out our first Porsche Cayman race of the weekend. We will be back a little bit later today with the GT3 Cup Series here in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America.